Hi, sixth grader. So I am Mrs. Freeman, and I have the pleasure of being your math teacher for this upcoming school year. I am more than excited to meet you all and just start getting you used to all the cool and fun things that sixth grade math has to offer. This is not my first year in sixth grade or with sixth grade math, so I think I've gotten a knack for working with the sixth graders, and hopefully, you guys will get to know my personality and sense of humor. And by the end of the first month, you'll be laughing with me. I did at least want to tell you a little bit of the things that you're going to be learning in sixth grade math, because I know math can sometimes be a scary subject for a lot of us. So I want to relieve you of the burden of feeling like you have to do this all on your own, because I am here to support you and help you and get you through it in any way that we can. One big motto that I have in my classroom is that it is okay to make a mistake. It is okay if you fail something. It's just not okay if we stay there. So we can work together, we can redo, we can retake, and we can keep working at it to make sure that you get it. But mistakes are 100% a part of trying. So if we look at some of the things that you guys are actually going to be learning this year, some of it isn't too new. You've been adding and subtracting before, but you haven't necessarily done it with decimals. And that's important because your change matters. So I know a lot of times we want to work with whole numbers, but if you're paying with something and they should give you $10.50 back, you definitely want your 50 cents. You don't want them to just give you $10. We're going to deal with ratios and looking at just different patterns. And sometimes ratios can sound confusing, but they really are the basis for a lot of things that we do, such as baking. So a recipe may require 2 eggs for every cup of flour. And how can we extend that pattern out? What if we want to make the recipe for more people, or what if we want to make it for less people? So that's something that you guys will learn. You'll get into some statistics, looking at data, analyzing data, and just looking at certain things like what number is repeated most in this data, the mode, or on average. If you've ever wondered, how do they come up with this stuff? How do they figure out on average how anything is going to be done? That's some things that you guys can learn. One thing that some of us love, some of us hate, is that in sixth grade, you actually start dealing with algebra and variables. And so this is one little joke that there's X. I found it, right, without having to do any of the math. But don't be afraid. We'll definitely get through it together, and I'll be there to support you with anything that you may need so that you will be able to find X and actually figure out what's going on. And then lastly, you're going to get into a little bit of geometry. So you've been working with geometry before. You found the area of a rectangle, of a square. You've even found the area of some compound or composite shapes that are made up of rectangles and squares. So that's not too different. One thing that is different is that you're going to learn how to find the area of a triangle, as well as look at some three-dimensional shapes, right? Things that we can actually hold in our hand and aren't necessarily just two-dimensional on paper. So I am, like I said, more than excited for this year. I hope that this did excite you, and just seeing some different things that you're going to learn in the class this year. And if I could give any tips on how you could be your best math student this year, I would say just come ready to learn. Come eager and willing to make mistakes, because mistakes will happen. I make them, and sometimes you guys will catch them for me, and I'll act like I did it on purpose, even if I didn't. But mistakes happen, and just be ready to take ownership and learn to take ownership of your grade and your progress and be a reflective student. So progress is not made if we're not reflecting and continuously trying to be better. So I think that's something that we can all do together: reflect on our progress, try our hardest each day, come to class ready to learn, and we'll have an amazing year. So once again, I am Mrs. Freeman, and I look more than forward to meeting all of you.